Welcome. Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. A few days ago, I talked to you about having measles and how the customs forced us to stay in one room and have quilts over the windows so there wouldn't be any light get to us and cause us to go blind. And of course, we had no air conditioner, and it was so hot, and we had to stay in there covered up. And I told you about, I believe it was at the end of the third day, I got to feeling a little better. I had not been able to eat in 3 days. My dad came in and brought me a Zagnut bar. Well, that was the most refreshing meal. That was the greatest candy bar I have ever eaten from that day till this. No candy bar has ever come up to that Zagnut where I was so sick. Well, today the mail came and I received a package. And whenever I opened the package, I realized that I believe it was 8 Zagnut bars, looked like it was mailed straight from the factory, and Reverend Mitch Wellman, I could not believe it. He was the one that sent me these candy bars. I have not seen one in so long, probably years and years. And it was so kind, and he sent me a little note to go along with it. Brother Mitch, I think, is a pastor in Illinois. But Mitch was one of the best golfers that I've ever met. And he could take a ball and on a par 4 and make it go from the tee box all the way past the green, one stroke. And he is a very, very talented man. Thank you, Brother Mitch, for being so thoughtful and so kind. I'm also thinking about when I was talking to you about looking down the road all the way down to the curve where the jessamines bloomed on the right-hand side. And whenever I described that road where my dad would come up with a truck, I also described on the left-hand side at the curve across from the jessamines was the washing place. That's where my mother came to wash her clothes. It took all day long, and we helped her get water to fill the tubs and the wash tub from the blue hole. The blue hole was pretty clear water, and we'd fill the tubs on the shelf, and then we'd had the wash tub, and we had to make a fire around it, and we'd take and put the clothes that had to be handled roughly to get them clean. We'd put them in there and boil that water, get it real hot, and we'd take and punch it down with we call it a stuffing stick. and we'd make the dirt come out of it, and it would get hot, and the wash pot would boil over, and it was just it was a process. And we had one tub that we had the rub board in. Rub board, there's a new word for some of you, rub board. And wash each piece of clothes and then put them in another tub. And then you'd have to take them out of that and put them in another rinse. Take that and put them then in another tub. And then we'd have to get and wring all the water out of them, take all day. And then we'd put them back in tubs, squeeze them out, make the garments small and put them back in empty tubs and carry them back home, which was probably a quarter of a mile. Carry them back home and hang those clothes out on clotheslines that was stretched. And we had clothespins to help hold the clothes up in case it was a rain or in case it was windy, that sort of thing. And it was such a process. I remember my mother would count the pieces of clothes that she would wash, and sometimes there was 130, maybe even up to 150 pieces, garments that she would wash, and clothes would be hanging all over the yard and so forth on the clothesline. So anyway, I'm going to get off of this. I'm not going to keep talking to you about old times. But I feel like in some odd way, it's good for me to remember, and it's good for you to know if you never heard of what I'm talking to you about. What it took. Now you just take it and throw the clothes in, put into the washer, and you put a little bit of soap in there, and that starts spinning, and you hear them spin. Then when it gets through, you take them out and put them in a dryer, throw a little sheet in there, and send them spinning around, and after a while, bingo, they're washed and dried. And some people even hate to do that. What if you had to get up and get a slide? A slide was something that skidded across the ground, and a horse pulled it. It's a little platform-like thing. We called it a slide. And we'd put those tubs on there and all of that and take them down to the washing place and get the water out of the blue hole. And it took all day long, and it wore my mother totally out. So let's be thankful. Let's be thankful. You say, Brother Marler, maybe you'd like to go back to those days. You couldn't be more wrong. No, I don't want to go back. But I don't want to forget either the pit from which I was digged. God bless you.